Let's get out to Phoenix for a rematch of last season's Western Conference semifinals. Devin Booker and the Suns taking on Luka Doncic and the Mavs. Let's go ahead to the fourth quarter here because this is where things got interesting. Christian Wood was balling.
I hate to say I told you so, but I watched Houston basketball, one of the few around here. And guess what? He had 16 straight points, and this is where you felt like, oh, it's the Mavs night. But then, hold my beer.
This is when the comeback was mounted. Chris Paul on the bench. Devin Booker looking.
Finishing. I mean, his mid-range is elite, but just the poise he has handling the ball, especially without Chris Paul on the floor, was so important for them.
And you can see once again.
ISO, going to work, and this is why he really reveres Kobe. He gets to the kill spot but makes the extra play. And are we going to talk about D. Lee?
Oh, we are going to talk about D. Lee because I'm not sure that the Suns could have finished it off without him. First, though, Luka arguing a little bit with the refs. He said he'd be doing that less this season, but he did get a tech there.
Look, I always thought that this is going to be a game that the Mavs won because anytime you make Luka mad, he takes it personal.
And
up until the last shot. And won, son! And you love this on game one.
Absolutely.
You love this.
But I really love this, Chene.
I mean, speaking of poise in the mid-range, not many people can make these reads.
Ooh.
Fade away, taking the contact. Beautiful finish, beautiful night.
Off balance. One more chance here for Luka in the Mavs.
I thought this was going in.
Me too. That's
it
what
did.
I was gonna say.
A little bit more oomph.
Front rim couldn't quite get it to fall. The Suns, they beat the Mavericks 107-105.
All 11 points, Damian Lee in the fourth quarter.
Absolutely remarkable performance from him exactly when the Suns need it. Let's take a listen to the post game.
Come on. Yeah, Dave. Stick with it. Stick with it. The kids asleep. I don't care. Stick with it. Woo! What? I'm sorry. Candace crying. I woke him up.
Can we get a blast of that?
I mean, that was a big mistake, waking up the kid.
Oh, yeah.
Your whole night's ruined now.
Yeah,
There's consequences
but
to that.
when things like that happen, sometimes you just got to do it. But yes, there were consequences when things like that happen. Back here with Brian, Zach, and Chene. Brian, we mentioned it in the highlight. Chris Paul on the bench when that comeback was mounted. Was this the correct decision by Monty Williams?
Yeah, and I think because Monty Williams' relationship with Chris Paul, they can get through this. They were making a comeback. The other thing is, don't tell anybody, Chris Paul was not good in this game. He was 1 of 6, couldn't make an outside shot. It worked. But what I liked about this, $380 million. That is what the Phoenix Suns paid Devin Booker and DeAndre Ayton in the offseason. And yes, Damian Lee was the star at the end of this game. But the driver of this comeback was the Booker-Ayton combination. Ayton was off in the first half. He was in foul trouble. We see him turn into a wallflower at times when this happens. He came back and had a great second half. Booker had a great second half. And while the Suns have some underlying issues that will go beyond this game, the fact that those two big money players delivered this win in comeback fashion was a good thing for the Suns last night.
Can we do a high five? Because that's exactly what I was going to say. And I love it because Devin Booker, I feel like we talked last season about him being a potential MVP. You have to respect what he did on opening night. He played 41 minutes, and while he was on the floor, they were plus 20. So he was productive, and they were productive when he was balling. And then DeAndre Ayton, a little foul trouble in the first half, responded in the second half with 14 points, 8 rebounds. That's exactly what you want to see. And I'll lastly say this for the Suns. It was a tumultuous start to their season. It feels like sometimes hoopers know that when you can just go out there and play basketball, everything's going to be all right, and you saw the signs of that from their team.
One note of Phoenix caution. Damian Lee was great. Campaign was big for them. They played 7 guys off the bench. 5 of them played 10 minutes or fewer. Without Jay Crowder, who knows what's going on there. They are going to battle thinness issues.
Landry Shamet was out with
Landry Shamet's injured. That's true, but it's a lot of unreliable guys.
Oh, I do. The Chris Paul part of this, I do. We were talking about it earlier on the call. There is also a sense, right, of if some folks are already mounting the comeback, just leave them in. Just ride what works, and it seems like this.
There are a few guys where that doesn't apply to, and Chris Paul is probably one of them. But in this circumstance, especially in October, I think Chris Paul's cool with it.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.